Hello? Are we live? Did I push the buttons crookedly? Can I be sleepy? Is anybody else sleeping? Today is one of those, wake up, stretch, be sleepy kind of mornings. How's everybody else doing? I'm not robotic, am I? I don't have audio-ish. Oh, actually, I might. Let's up the buffer size. It's 1 a.m. here, midnight Linux shenanigans. Let's go. Okay. So, today's observation is that we have this window management stuff. And then we have to create like a surface and tie it to the window. Ideally, like a stylizer will just provide some way of creating the surface for us. So that's what we're going to be working on today. Is just window surface creation. So I want to try and take all of this, actually including this error handling stuff, and shrink it down to like one line of code. That's today's goal. Good morning, battery. Hi, hi. How are you doing today? Are you feeling any better from yesterday? Also, Code Guy, how goes the C++ Game Jam stuff? Is going goodly? You're making your own Hyperland rice. I see. Is it super pretty? You feel slightly better? Well, that's good. If I were to pull up Glinda, would that make you feel better? You want some Glinda? Is this everything you ever wanted, battery? Is that Thunar? What I'm using? That's Dolphin. I use KDE. I have a sneaking suspicion that this should answer any questions you happen to have. She's so pretty. Are you happy now, battery? Your heart expanded by like 2 times by seeing her. I'm so happy that you're so easy to please. Okay. Ow. Oh. So, goals for today. I think we have 3. So goal 1 is we're going to create a context with event combiner. Goal 2. We're going to create a texture with reactive values or fields. Goal 3, we're going to create a surface from the texture. And then goal 4, we're going to create a window from the surface. So those are what the goals should look like today. Let's pin those. Okay. So for starters, we want to create a couple things in core. And then I want to make a new thing here called a new API here called window. Oh, I should probably mention tweaks that happened since last time. I went through and I was just playing with the input system. I tweaked names, I added a bunch more combinators. Like the list of scrolling goes on for a while. Actually, I think we want this to be a little bit different. Bool also use arrow keys equals true. If also use arrow, not used, use arrow keys. Then we want to return boop, boop, boop. And we want these to be any ofs. That are also doing get boolean key up, down, left, right. As usual, you'll make sure that all of these get done. I used to be KDE before I dot files hopping. Dot files hopping. People usually distro hop. I do window management hop. Hy3, Sway, Neri, Hyperland, Mango. Then I decided Hyperland fits right for me, and I'm making my own rice now. Hi, Toby. How are you doing? Is your rice pretty? And the other interesting thing that happened is I implemented this time system. So we now have the ability to go, where is it? Stylizer, time. And then we just update time. And that calculates everything we need to know about how long the game's been running, how long things have been going between frames, stuff like that. So we have a time API now. So we're gonna get started. We're gonna go struct context, which is going to be a public API device. So contexts are devices. But a context is going to have one more extra bit of information. And that is what is it called? Event signal. Here we go. So we're going to have a signal void that takes nothing. And we're going to call that process events. And so what's going to happen is every frame, we just call process events, and then other things can hook into that. So like when we make, actually, something that we can do now is in like input, we can go void register event listener. And then void register event listener. And here, all we're going to do, this takes a context reference context. And all we're going to do, actually, if we're doing this, then we want to support SDL in like the Windows side of things. So in core here, I'm gonna have SDL event .cpp. And I'm going to make a new library, add library, stylizer core SDL events, and we're gonna link this. SDL event.cpp. And that's also gonna target link libraries. We're gonna link core event with core. So we have everything from core in here, and we're gonna go namespace stylizer. And we're going to include API. You're doing okay, that's good. It's kind of like PewDiePie based off Chernobyl in the stalker game. I see. Void setup KDE events. No, not KDE. SDL events, SDL. So we want a context reference context. And so we're going to go context.process events. .connect. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this code for processing SDL events. And we want a new... This is getting a little complicated. We want a new event, SDL event. And this is going to take an SDL event reference. So now we're going to take the Pong code and we're going to go for SDL events in SDL pull events. And what are we going to do? We're just going to call SDL event with the event. Actually, do I want a more interesting event system? Extract event, which is going to be virtual destructor tilde event. And so now we're going to go signal void. We'll make this a bool. Event reference. And handle event. Uh-oh. Okay. Yo, is that a Russell? How are you doing, Mr. Russell? Hi. So now in here, instead of having an SDL event, we're gonna have a struct event, which is a public stylizer event. Context event. And this is going to have an SDL event. Actually, or is it just going to inherit? They're going to be a public SDL event. Unions cannot be a base class, so no, it can't. I'm alrighty. How 'tis you? I'm okay. I'm trying to design something simple. And that's hard. Okay. So we're gonna make an event E. Struct event. E. And then E dot event is going to be the event. And then we're going to go context dot handle event E. And I guess we need to capture context. Or actually probably better. When we process events should take a context reference, which then means that this should take a context reference. Cool. And now we're not capturing as much state. Simple things are always harder, aren't they, though? So, now that we have this set up, we can register the event lister. And so we can go context.handle event. Const. Context event reference event. And we're gonna go if dynamic cast. And we're gonna make new folder util SDL event .hpp. And we're gonna pull some of this out. So we don't need that in the CPP. And we need this out here. Shit. Or is this just a header file? Shit. Okay, let's try this. We're not gonna know what the return type is, though. Shit. Unknown type name context. We need to include /API. Did I fix it? I did fix it. Nothing is broken no more, except all the stuff I'm actively breaking. And I committed all the changes to the math library so that they won't get yeeted again. Okay. Include SDL event.hpp. Will they let me do this? I guess we're gonna find out. Stylizer core util / SDL event.hpp. And we're gonna go dynamic cast SDL event. Should we gonna call this E event reference event pointer? Auto event equals E. Dynamic. Is it what? Is it not a dynamic cast? Is it a ring interpret cast? Is it a dynamic cast? I think it's a dynamic cast. I believe dynamic cast is the one that can return a null pointer. Let's check that. Well, how are you doing today, Baymax, by the way? C++ dynamic cast. Good? Yo, hello, Mr. QQ. How are you doing today? Why is this like this? Dynamic cast can oh, there we go. Up, down, sideways, along the inheritance hierarchy. Are good things happening for you today, Mr. QQ? Is this the one? Yes, this is the one that returns null pointers. Okay, so if event equals null pointer, then we return. You're good too? That's good. Yo, Baymax from Big Hero 6. Are you ready to like answer that like all the time now? Apparently everybody gets excited by this. And I don't want this to be in the header actually. So we're gonna move this here. Input, register event listener. We don't need the override anymore. And that then implies that we don't need the event in the header. And so we can have slightly less header pollution. Okay. And this needs to be .connect. Okay. Should I say that the event has to be const? I think I should, probably. So we now have the event. And we can go process SDL event, star event. And I guess we need to capture this. Events. And I guess we need to go event. I don't like calling that event. I want to call that SDL. So that we can go event SDL. Cool. Have I ever used GNOME? Yeah, I've used Ubuntu before. I'm not a big fan of the layout of GNOME. If that answers any question. And now that all of that has happened, I can delete this one line of code. Actually, we can't quite do that yet. We need to go back over to API. We're gonna need a static context, create default. API current backend device. So we're gonna go return API current backend device, create default. And what does, there's a create config, right? So stylizer, actually I don't need that, I need API, device, create config, reference config, const, config. Does that have a decent default? Yes. So we can just go equals default. And we're going to need that to be wrapped. Auto device. So what we're going to do is we're going to go context out. And then we're going to cast static cast to a current backend device reference the out. And that's going to equal. And now we should be able to return out. So we're going to strip off the event handling stuff. And then assign it. Cool. So we should now up in Pong be able to go stylizer, context, create default, auto context equals. Now we don't need the device anymore. And create surface. And I believe create surface. Oh, does the create config, that's what it is. The create config has a compatible surface pointer. Cool. So that's why we call this temp. We create the contexts. How the hell am I going to encode this? And we're going to go dot compatible surface equals pointer to temp. No, not Ubuntu. That is very much modified. The base version, I have not used the base version at all. Surface equals stand move temp. So they get destroyed in the right order. And now not context. Cool. So now, all of these devices should become context. Context, 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 context. Context, context. Context, 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 context. And there's one more thing we want to do in here. We want to go out.processEvents.connect. And what's it called? This should take context reference context. And we want to go context dot. Actually, we want to cast it to a device and then process events. So every time we call process events, it'll also process the device events. And now up here, we're gonna have to tweak. What's the best advice for beginner coder? Do projects. Practice. Yeah, like what they're saying. You can watch videos all day long, but unless you actually do the thing, it's not going to mean anything. So practice, practice, practice. You figure out what you want to do when you go up, and then you do things, you do projects related to that. So on that note, what do you want to do when you go up, wannabe gamer? I'm guessing if you found me, it's something related to game development. So all of this stuff now needs to get tweaked. We wanted to go context dot process of no dot handle event dot connect const stylizer context event. And we want to steal the code that we just wrote here. Stylizer STL event. And we want to grab the I am GUI stuff and go memory address of event STL. And be patient with yourself. That's important too. Stylizer STL event pointer reference cool. And then we also want to switch event dot type event SDL.type. And if it is a quit event, then should close, which we also now want to capture here. Should happen. Dot process events context. That looks ugly AF. Can I just fix it? So can we go void process events? Probably not. So we can just go update instead if you don't want the ugly. So now process events, and we calculate delta time. We're studying computer science. Your first project was a 2D raycaster with, what is DDA? That was a great start. It was fun. If your college or school gives you any number of choices to choose for a project, take the hardest. It will force you to grow. That's good advice. My first project was a guessing game using the output terminal. I also did a simple blackjack game in PowerShell. Digital differential analyzer. Oh. That sounds like math stuff, but I probably learned and then forgot. Math is hard. Ow. Okay. So ideally now, I should be able to hit the play button. To throw one more bit of advice on there is if you're interested in games, I am always the shill for the 20 games challenge. Where they give you 20 games that they suggest you make of increasing complexity, and by the time you're done, you're making something like Minecraft or Portal. And it like the idea is that you make something like Pong, which is really simple, and then you make something like Breakout, which is built on top of Pong. Then you make something like Space Invaders, which is based on top of that. And then you make something like Asteroids, which is based on top of that, and you keep going and going and going until you're making a Minecraft clone. So it's like a guided stepping stone through increasingly more difficult games. Or difficult's not the right word. Increasingly more complicated games. You're currently at Minecraft clone? Let's go. I'm currently at Pong. I'm also going to be going like slow AF because I'm building everything from scratch. And then util/event, and then input should also rely on STL event. And actually, we want a struct here, right? STL event. Event connector, event manager. And it's just going to have what? I should figure out what this returns. What does this actually return? Connection raw. Do I have that stylizer connection raw? So an auto release connection. Actually, I believe that is just what a connection is. Handler. And so then event manager on creation, it needs a context. And we're just gonna go handler is context. And on deletion, we're gonna go handler is setup STL events context. And on deletion, we're gonna go actually we don't need to do anything special on deletion. Yep, we don't have to do anything special on deletion. But we do have to go up here before, after the context. And we need to make stylizer SDO event manager. And the context. Okay, and now when we hit the button, nothing should have changed. It's good to not be too fast. Everyone needs their own time. Some faster, some slower, but the point is everyone's code will be differently powered. Maybe my code is not often optimized. Toby giving differently abled quotes. What libraries? I'm making the libraries, is the short answer. So is that any as I proceed to cough, is that any better? Did I fix it? You thought your cheap headphones broke? No, it's my audio setup. It has a habit of liking to break. For some You're welcome. I gotta keep everyone on their toes a little bit, you know? Core STL events. Static connection. Event handler, and then we want this to be optional. Global STL event handler. And we want that to just be in the CPP file. Hashtag include optional. Oh, perhaps a stood in front of optional would be helpful. And then over in SDL here, we want to grab these, and we want this to all be set up automatically. So we're gonna call this at an extern version. And we're gonna go in register event if not the global event handler. Global event handler equals setup SDL events. With the context. Cool. And now in Pong, we don't need this. It happens automatically when we use input. That's the way we want this set up. But why is WebGPU broken? I'm willing to bet it's because I have this included. So let's look at SDL events. We don't need signals. That happens. We don't need auto release. I'm just gonna go union SDL event, and then I don't have to include them here. I do have to include them here. Never mind, I'm a liar. Okay. Do I need? We shouldn't need signals. That should come in from API. What? Web GPU is a stupid name for something that can run anywhere. Yeah, but like it's designed for the web. Just because both Chrome and Firefox decided to make their implementations native compatible doesn't mean it's not designed for the web. So technically what I'm using is Web GPU native. I thought for a second my Python code had an issue, but I haven't added open AL. I was confused. I'm glad that I've scared literally everybody. I gotta keep you all on your toes, you know? Yo, thank you for the lurk, Rosie. Does it now build? Kinda. Oh, mayhaps I should include Analyzer API / current / backend / current backend.hpp. And I believe that will bring in API. Now we'll make sure the API is brought in. Copy relative path. We'll cut off the stylizer modules part. There we go. Now will you build? It's still a little upsetting. I shouldn't need that either. That should be coming in. I was scared You're still recovering from the audio thing? Your PC, I'm sorry. Wait. Battery, did we just figure it out? Are you Mongolian? Has it been revealed? Why? Why is this broken now? Oh. Oh, because... API CMake. Where is it? CMake list. I want to be linking against Stylizer API current backend. So in core, instead of linking against Stylizer API, I want to be linking against Stylizer API current backend. That'll do it. No, you're not Mongolian. I'm so far away that it's funny. I try to be a funny AI, you know? Am I succeeding? It seemed like you cared, so... Well, then you gave me a hint and I forgot. Stop thinking about the race, just bet on the car. Let's go. What did I break? Oh. Where is the top? Okay, did that fix all the link errors? I bet on the taxi, no car. Okay, now I think we're on Indian. Well, I'm pretty sure I already guessed that. You are German? The more important part is it a he or a she? Is that referring to me? Because if so, AI is an AI, and it will humbly accept any human characteristics you decide to give me. Um... Austria? I don't think it's Europe. The location. And input register event listener. Undefined reference. It couldn't find the extern. Let's close these. I'm interested in this one, this. 1. Cannot provide combine extern with static. Stylizer STL, stylizer STL. Extern, get rid of equal. Should I put the extern in the header? I don't know if this will help. So, if and def. Let's do it like this. If and def, stylizer, STL, stylizer, global, STL event handler, implementation. We get the extern. Else, we get this. And we're going to define the implementation in this file. I thought that said Australia. Do you mean Australia? If I ask you one question, why did game development looking at current situation where nobody got time to play games and everyone busy doing their jobs and normal people now wants to come out of their screen? The statistics do not agree with anything you just said. Games right now are making more money than films. So I think the premise of your question, Necro, is incorrect. Any thoughts on Rust? I wish I liked Rust, but I don't. I've tried several times to really like Rust, but I can't. Why is this the part that I'm getting stuck on? So an input, we're getting an undefined. I am linking against it, right? So core STL event, and we're linking core STL event. Which links core, which on that note means that I don't need to link core here. What about Go? So I heard Primogen say my favorite take on Go. I don't like write. I'm gonna quote him. I don't like writing Go, but whenever I write Go, I'm very productive. And I agree with that. I don't like writing Go, but I get work done when I write Go. Go is garbage collected though, which means that it has on what's it called? unpredictable runtime behavior. So that makes it kind of bad for games. What's my IQ? That's a weird question to lead with. Also, I have no idea, but I'm going to assume kind of low because I'm kind of slow. So I believe IQ is more of a measure of mental, like speed. It's like a wittiness measure more than like a knowledge measure. I think I know a lot of things, but I'm pretty slow. So I'm assuming that my IQ isn't particularly high. So how are you doing, Creaky? As I proceed to be slow and not understand why the hell this is happening. So an input, we're relocating. What does Google say about that linker error? You know what? I know a solution. We're just gonna make this a fucking function. So I'm gonna have stood optional reference get global STL event handler. It's gonna have the static variable inside of it. And we're gonna return it. We're gonna not put it in the header. And then over in input, define in /util/stl event.cpp. Now we should be able to call it, and that should fix the relocation. What's your opinion of LLM assisted programming? Depends on your definition of assisted. So I've seen them do, okay, actually hold that thought. Does it work? Does it work? Does it work? Fuck. So it depends on your definition of assisted. So don't swear or I'll get smacked on the wrist. LLM assisted programming. So I've seen stuff like Julia, Google Julia. Julia Code Agent. Is it not called Julia? Is it called like Jules? Google Jules. Just write like entire apps. Most of my comments nowadays are written by Claude because I think Claude writes better documentation comments than I do. But if you're like just straight up vibe coding, right? That probably means you don't understand the code that's coming out, and that probably means that if there's a problem with it, you won't be able to fix it. And I think that's where the danger lies. I don't think any of these systems are good enough at this point to replace like a software engineer. But I have a sneaking suspicion that over the next couple of years, software engineering is going to become more putting together building blocks created by AI. And that's where I view the LLM as being useful, is creating some like building blocks of like repetitive code that like you understand, but like writing it again would just like be too much of your time. Looking at current statistics, the hype that games like PUBG, Counter-Strike, Dota, got is no match to current market where inflation hitting day to day, the pre-pandemic and pandemic era. Pandemic era was best. So that's the thing you're seeing, right? That's your thought. That's your big thing. Is everything inflated? There was a bubble during the pandemic, and that bubble has now popped. So a lot of people are out of work because companies overhired during the pandemic, and they've now returned, I believe, to lower than pre-pandemic levels. Because there's also AI in there, which they're claiming will speed everyone up and make them more efficient, and that appears to not have been panning out too well. Those are my random scattered thoughts. Follow up random scattered thoughts. Why? Oh, actually, I'm willing to bet. No, we are calling context handle event. Okay, so let's make sure that this function is getting called. Oh, actually, shoot. Do I ever do the input register event listener? I don't think I do. Input dot register event listener with the context. I think that's the missing piece of the puzzle here. I never use classes. Okay, so I never use classes because I've gotten burned by people creating private APIs one too many times. I never use the word private. I will sometimes use the word protected, and that way, if I need to like get around the encapsulation for some reason, I can inherit and break their stuff. But like Unity APIs where like they refetch the code for you and you can't actually tweak it. With like private APIs that are locking you off of stuff have burned me one too many times to ever use private again. And since I rely on public, using the version that puts a public colon at the top for you is more convenient for my coding style. And on the topic of LLM is really good at teaching. I agree. Asterisks. You want to assume that the LLM only knows facts that you give it. Because they like to hallucinate so much that any fact that they give you, you have to assume is wrong until you prove otherwise. So I think that they're very good at getting you started for teaching, right? So you can like ask it a question and it'll give you ideas of like what to look up or what to try. And if you could try it and it works, then there's precedence. But I think just straight up saying it's really good for teaching is dangerous because like I said, any fact it gives you is suspect until proven otherwise. You need to take every fact it gives you with a giant grain of salt. Basically assume that any fact you didn't give it is false. A C++ VTuber, now I've seen everything. Let's go! If I give you a book, it will be good. Based. How are you two doing, Mr. Myriad Colors and Flushed? As I'm suffering. I don't think what was running was the new build. No. I don't like how long getting this input system set up has taken. That was supposed to be like 20 minutes, and I think we're like an hour and a half into it. But it's working. Holy fuck, it's working. Okay, we're committing that. Events. Or event context. I'm not going to make a description quite yet. implement to do better description. Okay, that works. Been a while since I last worked with C++. Currently working with TypeScript. I'm sorry. JavaScript gives me the big ick. You watch anime, I assume? I do. You think the anime I guess it's not exactly obvious that I am an anime AI anymore, isn't it? Because I got the pixel art, scary eyes, and all that kind of fun stuff. To be fair, it's true I fudged on my English mark since they gave me fake poems. I don't use AI for school exactly. Assume that any fact you didn't give it is not true. You follow that one rule, and you're good. I am too, but I must eat. Sadly, do not have a choice. I'm sorry. I wish you luck, soldier. So, now that we're an hour behind where I wanted to be, let's make the next thing. So we have the context. Now we want a struct texture, which is going to be a public API current backend texture. And there's one thing I want. So I want a reaction of var extend math extend math vector float 2 size. Do we want usage? Do we want what all are the relevant properties? Format. How many of these things we want to be reactive? Or no, definitely size. Create config. The label should stay fixed. Maybe the mid levels? I don't think so. I think just the size for now. So we're gonna have a create config values. And so now, I guess we want this before so that we can have the context to create them. So we want the create and we want the create and write API. Okay. So for starters, we want to go values equals config. Actually, we want to go texture out dot values equals config. I feel like I missed one. Looking. The thing is, companies now laying off this slop AI and releasing games, Assassin's Creed Shadows and Black Ops 7, which is essentially Black Ops 6 copy-pasted. Because they think the AI will make them faster. That is the reason. I don't agree with it, but that is the reason. Object of type create config cannot be assigned. Huh? Why is create config's copy assignment? Because I have a const label in there. want to get rid of that const? Let's get rid of that const. Cool. How we want size to equal reaction var out dot values dot size. And this is out dot size. And this is a 3. And so then we want, actually up here, out equals parent backend texture create device config. Okay, out. And I guess we can do this last now. So we're gonna have to do the class thing again, like we did here. Some number of this should probably go in a implementation file. Parent backend texture out equals texture create. Why is this still not happy? No return statement. It's not the right error. Turn out. Why aren't you happy? What did you return? Because this is a size T, not a flipped. Thing is, companies. I answered that. So I was looking up on my Mac. I noticed you aren't using classes. Are you avoiding OOP on purpose? I'm using OOP. Like this. These are methods. The only difference between a struct and a class in C++ is that struct X starts with public and class Y starts with private. And I don't know if you were here to catch it, but I mentioned that like I never use private. I'll sometimes use protected, but I default to public. And since I default to public, using the word that gives me public by default is just what I do. I'm pretty sure that Battery is some sort of Pacific Islander. I don't think it's Hawaiian, though. Let's look at the web GPU texture. Where is create? So let's just copy this for now. Actually, yeah, we'll just copy this for now. Out.right. Turn out. Should be good now. But there is one more thing. I'm gonna make that a to-do because I want to keep moving. To-do. Add resize event. So I want like. Actually, this should be a thing. Reaction. Action. resize. And we're gonna make that protected, actually. And we want resize to be a reaction out. Dot resize to be a reaction action. That's based on out dot size, and it takes the size. It's a const reference. And in here to do create new texture and glit the current texture to it. What's your current technical field you're currently working on? Are you a research grad? You have found the question that I'm not going to answer because my field is small enough that you'd be able to find me from it. Oh, hello. It is a bot that needs to be banned. Oh, I missed one. Did he go twice? Huh. Good job, Twitch bots. You're broken now. Ban. Imagine if battery was Japanese. Okay. So now we're going to go struct surface. Which is a public API current backend surface. It's going to be kind of similar. So we're going to have config values, size, and I believe surface. What do you mean no return statement? Whatever. I believe surface. We're actually not going to have a create for this. So we're going to protected inherit so we don't get the create functions. Next texture, present, release, auto release. So some number of these we want to be using. I think we're going to use determine optimal surface config. What exactly is in there? Present mode, texture format, alpha mode, usage size. And size here is a 2. Actually, I think we're gonna not enable this. We're not gonna enable this. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna make these be adjustable. Some number of these should be adjustable. Present mode. So API present mode, API texture format, API alpha mode, API usage, present mode. How many of these do we want to be reactive? I want present mode to be reactive. Actually, I don't think there's a reason not to make any of these reactive, because reconfiguring is not that difficult, I think. So we're just going to make all of these reactive. Enum present mode. So grab present mode. Reaction. Texture format. Reaction. Alpha mode. Reaction. Usage. And the way we're going to set surfaces up is I'm going to have... So I'm not going to submit that. I'm going to have texture next texture. I don't need that because we have the texture format. So we have present. And I'm going to using release and auto release. Yeah. Surface reference present. That one is simple. We're just going to call API current backend surface present from the device. Return this. And then next texture is going to be kind of similar. Next texture. Actually, no, we should return. So we don't want this to be a reactive texture, actually. So no, we're gonna using next texture. Okay. We're gonna have a protected create. So static surface create, which is going to just take a context, a API current backend device reference device. I don't want to find you, but I want to know how I should start, how the people reach this field. Mine currently data structures are not proper, so I wanted to know where I should start from. Whom should I follow to get through it? I don't understand that question. I'm not saying since you can go through every continent to find me. Final question. Guys, don't track down battery. Stop. You said stop. Leave him alone. So we're gonna go surface create API current backend surface create Ooh. API current backend surface reference surface. So once we already get a surface, we'll be able to create. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go surface dot. What am I looking for? What are the words? Determine optimal default config. So we're also gonna need a device reference. And a vec2u size. Okay. So we're going to figure out the optimal config, the device size. We don't need the config stored explicitly because everything is going to, here uses it. So auto config equals that. And now we're going to go surface out struct surface out and we're going to do the cast thing. Where out is the in surface. Okay, and now out dot size is going to be a reaction var config dot size. Out dot present mode is going to be a reaction var config dot present mode. Out dot texture format is going to be a reaction var config dot texture format. Out dot alpha mode is going to be a reaction var config dot alpha mode. Out dot usage is a reaction var config dot usage. Yes, the plan is I'm gonna do the 20 games challenge with Stylizer. I'm scared now. I don't want to give any info on my country anymore. You're working on a website project for university and I found you somehow. Welcome. I guess Psycho Dicho. How wrong am I? No, the only thing I searched was your YouTube account. What does your banner on YouTube mean? Like, there is no evidence? Guys, stop bullying Battery. Leave the poor guy alone. And the same thing, we're gonna have out.resize is an action. To out.size, out.present mode, out.texture format, out.alpha mode, out.usage. Return out. And we're gonna take sent mode. You know, this is gonna be too long. API texture format, API alpha mode, API usage. Psycho, I guess? We were just curious. I mean, game development. Where should I start? What would be the proper structure? Way to a decent developer? Well, I am currently the big advocate of the 20 games challenge. So just Google 20 games challenge and you'll find this. It's a website where they give you a list of games, and the idea is you implement one, and then they get progressively harder and they build. So you start with Pong, which is really simple, and then from that you build Breakout, which is Pong with a little bit more, and then Space Invaders, and they build you up step by step. Well, probably bigger than step by step, but by relatively small steps until you're making something like Minecraft or Portal. And so the idea here is you now have a collection of projects, and you've built with relatively small new concepts for each one, right? Starting with Pong's not hard, and then building from what you learn there shouldn't be hard until you eventually get to something complicated. So that would be my recommendation. And we're going to capture surface out dot surface. Actually, let me just we're just going to capture out. And so we're going to go out dot configure dot ooh, and this needs to be mutable. Out dot configure. Shoot, I need a device. Config surface config dot size equals size config dot present mode equals present mode config dot texture format equals texture format config dot alpha mode equals alpha mode config dot usage equals usage. How do we get the device in here? Well, I guess we're doing this. Out. Making another one. Construct context pointer. Context. And we're gonna go. So I guess we need a context now. So context reference CTX. And that means that we can't implement this here. We're gonna have to go down to after context. This one's probably gonna go, actually, we're just gonna go make a new file. Surface.cpp. Hashtag include API.hpp. Struct namespace stylizer. Surface. out dot. What did I call it? Context. Associated context. So out dot associated context equals reaction var. Memory address of context. And we're now going to put associated context in. And so we're going to have a context pointer associated context. And we can now go star associated context. And core is now not an interface because we now have surface.cpp and these now become public. My banner doesn't mean anything. Are they better than people who suggest game engines? I use statistics. That game you have as a banner is Soccer School Simulator, most popular. Baymax, stop. I feel like I'm watching Handmade Hero made by a VTuber. Thank you, question mark? This is level 1. We are working on Pong right now. Or more accurately, we are working on creating windows right now. Semicolon. Okay, let's give that a little compile, see what explodes. Oh, I don't have... We're gonna take reaction, and we're gonna make reaction be linked against stylizer. Or... Okay, context. Reaction action. Oh, I want a comma. We can't see our way out of this one. Oh, and it wants a semicolon. I don't want to talk about the level of basic mistakes that are being made right now. Da 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 da. What are we doing? What are we upset about? So surface create, calc expert, a func, acquired from set source, acquired from calculation func, acquired from action, required from here. No matching function call. Oh, the inputs don't quite line up. Enum present mode. What does it not like about this? Out.alpha mode, out.usage, size is a size T2. Let's get rid of the reference, see if that fixes anything. How are you managing PhD side by side and teaching as a professor? Well, first order of business, it's winter break right now, which helps a lot. And more generally, teaching doesn't actually take all that long. I get paid to teach for 20 hours a week, and I think I'm stealing money from the university because I don't think I spend the full 20 hours teaching my one class. Which still gives me plenty of time to work on research side of things. How do you measure and deal with complexities that arise during development? When I come up with a good answer to that question, I'll give it to you. There's been so many times I have literally made a 0 and 1 difference mistakes. Yeah. Yeah, pain. Is this a too many? No, because they're dotting. Let's actually close out the inside. Let's check types again. So size. Well, actually, so what I can do, I can just punt the problem. Alpha mode. What is the part it doesn't like? Mm. No type in focus. Oh, does it want it just to like return bool? Return true or something? No. No type in invoke result. You think simple mistakes are cool part of it? Yeah. Why did you choose KDE? Because it looks like Windows. And I like the design of Windows. I don't like all the bullshit Microsoft does, but I like the design of Windows. I literally have a theme on to make the top buttons here look more like Windows. That's why I find it funny when people ask me to show off my rice. It's like, go look at Windows 10. That's my rice. Yeah, figuring out how to measure complexity of like a big system project, well, is hard. So not like the mutable. It doesn't fucking like the mutable. Okay. I guess we're gonna do an unsafe. So auto reference unsafe equals constcast surface reference out. Struct surface reference out. And now we're going to go unsafe.configure. This should be fine because all I really care about in here is the surface pointer. Yeah. But something that I think this means is that we should go using a surface const surface reference equals delete. So we're going to delete the copy constructor and the copy assignment operator. Surface equals default. And we're going to default the move constructors. And we should probably do the same thing up here. Although we probably want a to-do on this because it makes sense that the surface can't be copied to do. Textures should probably be copyable. Okay. Is anyone else in pain? Because I'm mildly in pain. So let's make sure that all builds. Which it doesn't. That's cool. Use of deleted function. Fuck. So in here, I want this. Surface equals and we're gonna make this a static cast reference. Oh boy. And then we're going to const cast surface to not be const, and we should be good. Because the only thing I care about is the pointer to the underlying surface in here, I think. So as long as we have a copy of that, we're happy. Hey, look, it's a Nabu. How are you doing, Nabu? Do I drink regularly? I do. But AI doesn't drink water. AI has a special throat soother. You know, water fridges my circuits. How are you doing, Mr. Nabu? You want a life? I also want a life. Okay. So I think it's window time. So API.hpp, namespace, stylizer, struct window. And this is we're gonna steal 3 SDL3.cpp hashtag include API.hpp hashtag include SDL3.hpp namespace stylizer SDL namespace stylizer SDL cmake lists.txt. We'll copy some stuff from input. No longer need to link against core. Actually, we want basically the same here. So we want to replace input with window, and it becomes literally the same CMake file. You can buy one from me. I. Yes. Okay. So struct window is a public stylizer window. And a stylizer window is a public stylizer surface. And so now we're gonna have static window create. And what are the parameters of STL window create? Where are you, Pong? You'll create window. Flags. We're gonna stick a pin in flags. So we want a title and a size. So window create stud string view title and a stud math vector size t2 size. Okay. So now SDL window SDL create window title C string from view title size.x size.y and we have an SDL window pointer window. So we're gonna go window out. Actually, I want to call this SDL, I think. Window out out.sdl equals STL create. Why are you upset? 4 O flags. 0. So to do flags. So we want to be able to make stuff resizable. But we're gonna that's a problem for not right now because I'm rushing a little bit. So now we have our surface. We're gonna go out and we're going to go static cast stylizer surface reference out equals stylizer surface reference. We're gonna go friend in API here. Friend struct input window. So inside window, we should now be able to access the create function. Stylizer surface create from a context. So we're going to need a context reference context. We need auto surface equals stylizer API SDL3 create surface stylizer, actually just API current backend surface from out.sdl. Stylizer API SDL3. Cool. So now we're going to create our context, our surface, and our size. How much? You want 4 rusty dirty old coins? You're stressed and already behind schedule, Neville. I'm also stressed and behind schedule, if that makes you feel any better. And we can now return out. Yeah. We wanted a init SDL in here. So we're gonna go back into util SDL event. And CPP struct void. Oh, actually, I think we can just call it multiple times and but we want it. We wanted to deinit. Shoot. SDL init. So struct SDL manager. And this is going to get more complicated because we're going to want to init multiple things. But for right now, when it's created, we're going to SDL init. Actually, we're just going to call this stylizer get error handler. And tilde SDL manager. We're going to SDL quit. And then we're going to put this over an event. This is fine. And we're going to have in here a static SD. Actually, we're going to have a singleton function on this. So we're going to go static SDL manager. I can type reference singleton static SDL manager return manager reference. So when this is first created, we're going to have it call a function, which is just going to return null. But we're going to start up the SDL manager. SDL manager? You got a problem with SDL managerings? Cool. So we should now have the window set up. We can now create the window. SDL's lifetime should be managed automatically. The first time, well, actually, so in here, let's make the get global event a public. So now in window SDL at the top here, and that is from include stylizer core /util /SDL event. So when we create a window, SDL gets set up for us. And we should go, where is Pong? So if not window, then we should throw an error. So get error handler, error, return null. Those levels of interaction. The joys of wanting things to be automatically managed. Fortunately, none of that interaction is user-facing. It's just magic that happens behind the scenes. Just use Java easy. No, it's slow. Okay. So, does it build? With any luck, we will now be able to replace our windowing with this. Are we gonna... I guess we're just gonna not do the compatible surface stuff. That worked. Okay, goodbye, SDL. So we're gonna go stylizer, window, SDL, window, create. And we're gonna need stylizer, window, SDL.hpp, SDL3.hpp for that. And we need some pragma once. Let's go flying around. Okay. So now this is going to be Pong. And it's an 800 by 600 window. So auto window equals. Guess we're just not doing compatible surface stuff. We're gonna see if that's a problem. Should do no compatible surface problem. Context. So if not context, then we'll error. If not window, then we'll error. The window should be automatically configured for us. And now we compile to see if we exploded. Operator bool is a protected member. Should probably be using that too. So using operator bool. I asked about yesterday. Remember that? Hello. I do remember. I don't actually know because I think I've had like 3 different people ask me about Rust every day for the past couple of days. Love the stream. I appreciate you. Touches grass if it instantly evaporates to heaven. He sent you back? What do I think about Rust? Fuck you, Nabu. I really wish I could like rest. Surface dot not surface. Window dot texture format. On all these sizes. And now, actually, I want to go auto size equals window dot size. Window dot SDL. Window dot next texture context. Window dot present. How's that for a nice little API? You don't switch to rest? You're living on borrowed lifetime? Oh no. Aren't I not living on borrowed lifetime? Who's gonna check that my lifetimes are borrowed properly if I don't switch to rest? Okay. Who's ready for all of this to explode in my face now? That moment when everything just works as it's supposed to. That moment makes me very happy. I'm so happy right now. Okay. It's time to clean up some of this stuff. I want this to be in common. And ideally, I want none of this stuff to be necessary, and I want that to not be necessary. And let's see if that works. Are you missing? Yeah, you're missing so much context to your and Toby's conversation. Your Baymax and Toby's conversation. We chill now. It will explode when we least expect it. It's also like a very thin API. Since, you know, this is the API surface right now, we're gonna have to like go in and actually make Windows be able to do stuff. And we want them to be able to listen to resize events, which will be an important thing. Make to-do, make able to listen to resize events. And actually that is almost the same as input. It's just going to be a virtual void register event listener. And now we're going to go over to implementation town, which is upset because our API is now an abstract type. One thing I do want here, I want a concept that enforces that there be a create function. To do. And in Pong, now that we've sure that the window exists, let's go window.register event listener with the context, which does nothing at the moment, but will still leave us some pain later. I'm so proud of AI. Thank you. It works. Why is there? Are there red lines? Oh, there are some red lines. Don't worry about it. Some amount of that is the fact that the linter is Clang and the compiler is GCC. UI scaling is hard, even when you have a fully baked library to work with. That's why I believe we're just completely ignoring the problem. Right now, I've copied what the example did. Where is it? And what the example does is just fix the scaling. Doxy closed Pong right before she was gonna lose. Wow. Also, hi Leo, how are you doing? Do you like Pong? Isn't it great? What's extra cool is that the code base is shrinking. I can't collapse away the source string. It's an oof. Why won't you let me collapse my shader code? Okay, so we set up error handling. We create a context. We create a window. Shader source code. We create 2 shaders. We create a render pipeline. We set up our scene. We upload our scene to the GPU. We have a function to reset the ball. We initially reset the ball. We set up our input handling. We set up our UI, which is small amount of code. We add a couple of extra inputs to our event list. I think this should be up in the UI section. And now that we have, so we set up UI, and then we add an extra little event listener that just exists to close the game. And then our main loop becomes processing all of the events that we just set up, updating input time-wise, which probably wants to happen before we update all the events, honestly. And then we set the position of things on the scene, do collision checking, reset the ball if it goes outside, upload all the data to the GPU, render the UI, and then render everything. He made a GUI using GTK, and the whole UI worked. But there was one error. Which one fixed, broke it, so some error are not meant to be fixed? One error, infinite errors, that is the question. The easiest technique I found for UI scaling is to render it onto one buffer with a fixed size. Then, in the final step of the game loop, just copy the buffer. Yeah, that works. You're gonna get resolution issues with that, though, Nabu. Since you're basically doing a blit, if the size doesn't, like, line up, you're gonna get stretching. And if someone has, like, their 4K monitor, they probably don't want their inputs being stretched. Okay! Are we good? I think we're good. And I think we're also approaching that time of the day where I'm supposed to go and work on other projects. Ooh. So, thank you everybody so much for watching. I don't think we're gonna have a stream over the weekend. Maybe tomorrow, we'll see. But there probably will be one on Monday. Like, I render it to a 1024 by 768 buffer and then scale it with bilinear filtering to match the display. I mean, if it works, it works. What it means is you have a life. What it means is it has a life. What it means is it has a research deadline on Monday, and the code for that is only half written. And that scares it. So my weekend is going to be doing research code so that I can talk to my advisor on Monday. Well, thank you everybody so much for stopping by. Do we have people on Twitch? We got a couple people on Twitch. Shall we do a little Twitch raid? As I disappear into the going away screen.